What is up, everybody? Tegan here with High Point. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today we have one simple question. Can this, the Pegasus SmartEye, turn this, the Celestron Nexstar 8SE, into a smart telescope? Now, this is one of the most popular telescopes in the entire world, and the Pegasus SmartEye just might completely transform the way that you experience the night sky. I guess we'll have to find out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Alright, look. Any visual astronomer will tell you that peering through an eyepiece connects you with the night sky like nothing else. And astrophotography, as great as it is, simply can't replicate that feeling. Now, the difference between astrophotography and visual astronomy should be obvious. Our eyes simply can't capture the amount of light as a camera can. This is where the Pegasus SmartEye comes in. The SmartEye offers the views of an astrophoto while still maintaining that tactile feel of being at your telescope under the night sky, which is exactly why we paired it with the Celestron Nexstar 8SE, a telescope known for offering a great visual experience. We'll get more into all of this later on in the video, but first, let's take a look at what comes in the box. So upon opening the box, you'll first find the Pegasus SmartEye itself with its beautiful black and blue anodized coating. Next, you'll find a 2-inch adapter that threads directly into the bottom of the SmartEye, and it also includes threads for a 2-inch narrowband filter. In addition to this, you'll find a 12-volt USB-C to AC adapter with a USB-C cable included as well. And lastly, on the box that the SmartEye came in, you'll find a QR code that will take you to the main website for firmware updates. Alright, so now that we know what comes in the box, let's take a bit of time and learn about the SmartEye itself. First and foremost, the SmartEye uses the Sony IMX533 CMOS sensor. This sensor has really helped to revolutionize astrophotography and has become extremely popular within the astrophotography community, myself included. I have used several cameras built around the IMX533, and it has helped me to take some of my best astro photos to date. Now, the SmartEye outputs FITS files, and it allows you to save that data if you want to go and process it later. But the real appeal here is the internal live stacking, which is the whole idea behind the SmartEye. The internal camera sensor captures several second exposures, and the internal processor stacks and aligns them automatically. As the signal builds, the image becomes richer and more colorful, beaming with details of your favorite deep sky object. Now, this beautiful, detail-rich view is accessed through the ultra-wide 90-degree field of view eyepiece, and behind it lays a 2560 by 2560 OLED display. The thumb knob on the side allows you to scroll and select different imaging modes and adjust settings like location, and it's very intuitive and simple to use. The internal settings also include starting a new observation or even resuming a previous one. There's also storage settings, camera and temperature settings, and exposure length settings for those who use a more accurate equatorial mount. All of this is powered through a USB input, and the device also includes memory card slot for storing images directly onto the unit. The setup process is simple. The SmartEye will automatically power on once plugged into a power source. As instructed, adjust the diopter on the side of the eyepiece to achieve a nice, sharp image. Select the live view option by pressing the blue button on the side. Center your object, and when your object is centered and ready to enhance, then press the blue knob once more and select New Observation. Your SmartEye will now begin stacking and aligning each photograph before your own eyes. When it comes to the Pegasus SmartEye and how you use it, you really have two options. The first option is the one that we see discussed most often, and that's pairing it with an equatorial mount and a small to medium-sized f5 refractor designed specifically for astrophotography. So in a configuration like this, the Pegasus SmartEye essentially acts as a dedicated deep sky astrophotography camera, but also as an eyepiece, and you control it through the Sky Safari Pro app or maybe a third-party software like Nina or Sequence Generator Pro. This approach is more likely to appeal to those who are already embedded in deep sky astrophotography. The equatorial mount is going to track more precisely and completely eliminate field rotation, and it's also going to allow you to take advantage of the 20 and 30-second exposure settings embedded in the Pegasus SmartEye. So while the Pegasus SmartEye can absolutely be used as a dedicated camera or an eyepiece on a dedicated astrophotography equatorial mount, the more that we use this, the more that we really begin to realize who it was designed for. Let's talk about method number 2. When I reflect back on my first years into amateur astronomy, back in 2014, something like the SmartEye was exactly what I was looking for. So the telescope that you see here is the Celestron NexStar 8SE. This is my very first telescope, and like all beginners, I learned that while this is a wonderful instrument for visual astronomy, it's not so great for astrophotography in itself. I also quickly learned that to do deep space astrophotography, which was what I became very passionate about at the time, I would need dedicated equatorial mounts, guide cameras, guiding software, guide scopes. The list grew very quickly. If I would have had access to the Pegasus SmartEye back then, it would have completely changed my entire experience. But because the Celestron NexStar is already a fully computerized go-to system that has a huge database of deep sky objects, adding the Pegasus SmartEye is a perfect way to capture and photograph these objects on an alt-azimuth mount. When the sun sets, simply insert the Pegasus SmartEye into your telescope like a standard eyepiece, align the NexStar, and then select your favorite deep sky object. During our time testing this in the field, we found that this combination feels surprisingly natural. The NexStar mount handles the go-to and the tracking, while the Pegasus SmartEye gradually takes exposures, revealing those beautiful colors and details in your favorite deep sky objects. And if you add in the Celestron 0.63 focal reducer, it brings the entire system down to that f7 or faster focal ratio. This is exactly what I needed in 2014. So I hadn't planned on coming out and shooting another night, but there was a gap in the clouds, and I had yet to use the Pegasus SmartEye on the Orion Nebula. So I pointed the 8SE to the Orion Nebula, and what I saw on the screen was impressive. In the live view, I saw just a black and white monochrome image of the Orion Nebula, and the trapezium cluster was very apparent. Here is what the live view looks like, just straight out of the camera. And so I went inside and came back after about 4 minutes of stacking and taking 10-second exposures, and what I saw was absolutely wild. And I'm looking at it right now. The trapezium cluster is pink and blue and defined, just like you would see in a photograph. The wings on the outside of the Orion Nebula are blue and pink. There's definition. I can see Messier 43, the little companion emission nebula, just to the right of it. There's modeling and detail inside the trapezium that you would expect with an 8-inch telescope. This completely transforms the NexStar 8SE. Amazing. When you think about how popular the NexStar series of telescopes are, using them in tandem with the Pegasus SmartEye just really starts to make sense. There are thousands of amateur observers who use telescopes like the NexStar series, the Evolution, or even the CPC series, and these telescopes are already fully go-to and computerized that make navigating the night sky incredibly easy. And for those users, it doesn't replace their telescope. It fully unlocks it. And when paired with something like the Celestron Sky Portal app and Wi-Fi, you have something that very closely resembles modern smart telescopes. But there is one major difference. You can still drop in your favorite eyepiece for some beautiful high magnification planetary and lunar views. Something a smart telescope simply can't offer. So the way we see it is, if you're just starting out and you want that tactile feel of being with your telescope out under the night sky looking through the eyepiece, but you still want the best possible views of the night sky, then pairing the Pegasus Astro SmartEye with really any computerized telescope should absolutely be on your short list. Now, maybe you already own a go-to computerized telescope, but you just don't get out under the night sky as much as you used to because you want more out of it. Historically, you'd have 3 options. 1, get the largest telescope that you can physically handle. 2, go all in on the latest smart telescope craze. Or 3, go in deep and dive into a decked out astrophotography rig. So of course, all of these options have their place, but you know exactly what it is that you'll likely be sacrificing once you take said path. This is where the Pegasus Astro SmartEye seems to make the most sense. It doesn't force you down one of those paths or categories, but rather opens up a tremendous amount of versatility. You still get that tactile feel that you get from a large telescope, and you still get the technology that you find in a smart telescope. And you still have access to some incredible astrophotos like you would with a dedicated astrophotography imaging rig. So dare we say that this is revolutionary? Perhaps, but perhaps not. All I gotta say is that what the Pegasus Astro SmartEye does, nothing else can do. And if so, not nearly as well. And that is something that all of us here at High Point are extremely excited about. So do you think that the Pegasus Astro SmartEye has what it takes to completely transform the way that you experience the night sky? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tegan. Clear skies.